Okay, if you watch my videos, you will know that I am a fan of Matthew Buck, aka Film Brain, and his Bad Movie Beatdown series on thatguywiththeglasses.com. However, his latest video, I should say videos, have got me in a rage, in a frenzy, if you will. In a frenzy 227. Frenzy 227 is in a frenzy over his latest movie that he's decided to beat down, Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, the third and final, and hopefully final installment in the Pirates of the Caribbean series. More on that later. There are some movies he's done on his show, like Alien vs. Predator and Men in Black 2, where I disagree with him. I still like the movie, but he does make a good point here and there, like some plot holes and some issues with the movie. However, this beatdown, I 100% disagree with you on this, FB. I love this movie. I think this is a spectacular film. It's a stunning conclusion to a very worthy trilogy, and let's just talk about this for a while, okay? You said that the film that was ultimately just killing people. That it was a lot of bodies and incredibly high body count. Well, there are tons of movies out there that are just body counts. I can name like a dozen, like the War of the Worlds remake and like all 2012 and all those disaster movies, Skyline that's coming up, and just because this is a Disney movie does not mean that this has to be family friendly. Just because Disney's Disney doesn't mean it has to make family friendly crap all the time. It can make whatever it wants, as they proved with these movies and Prince of Persia, and those were good movies. Disney's proved that on their own, that when they go away from the norm and make non-family friendly movies, they are good at it. They're good at making movies meant for adults. And the Pirates of the Caribbean movies are meant for adults. They're not meant for kids. The first Pirates of the Caribbean movie was a dark action drama about pirates that just so happened to be based around a theme park ride. And it was a good movie, yes, but it was not meant for kids. That's why there was all that violence and everything. The fact that it was marketed for kids is poor advertising. The kids saw it just because it was Disney. And the second and third movies are double that. They're not meant for kids. This is a dark, incredibly complex trilogy, and the fact that kids are seeing it, well, there are some movies out there like Transformers that are somewhat meant for kids, despite the fact that there were drugs in T2. But look, the fact people can make whatever they want in their movie, and it's the MPAA's fault if they're like literally underrating these movies. Like, there are some things in the Pirates of the Caribbean movies I do agree are somewhat R-rated, like say the death of Mercer, or like the crows pecking out the eyeballs of people in Dead Man's Chest, or some of the Davy Jones's crew on the Flying Dutchman, the sea creatures. But that does not distract from what this movie is. And there are so many points you brought up in the review, like the giant plot hole everyone's talking about. Does Will get to... By the way, spoilers alert for those of you who haven't seen the movie. Does Will return... Is he freed from the Flying Dutchman after 10 years since Elizabeth is waiting for him? Well, as you pointed out in your video, the writers of the movie confirmed that Will is freed after 10 years. And I'm gonna go with the writers. Writers know best here. They're the guys who created these characters, created this trilogy, who wrapped everything up. I think they know what they're talking about here. So I'm of the opinion that Will is freed from these dudes in the Flying Dutchman. Although that is contradictory with the fact that the Dutchman must always have a captain. Well, maybe like his first mate, like Bootstrap, or one of the other pirates takes over. Maybe, I don't know, maybe there's all these rules about the Dutchman that aren't spelled out in the film, but... Again, writers know best here. Let's take a look at this FAQ booklet in here. The fact that the FAQ booklet says that Will is bound to the Flying Dutchman forever, well, maybe that's someone's mistake. Maybe I don't think the writers were completely involved in this thing. I think had the writers been involved, then they would have done a lot of stuff differently. They would have given the actual answers, and the writers did give the actual answer on a different whatever website they answer this question. And why did, like, say what you brought up in the video, why did Calypso create the Maelstrom? As well, she said she was going to kill all the pirate lords and everything, but when she found out Davy Jones was the one who bound her, she created the Maelstrom. Well, she explained it perfectly. Frankly, I don't know why I'm saying it here. I'm just rambling. But there are tons of points that are completely spelled out in the film. It's just, as I said, these movies, they're not just simple kids' movie. Their plots are supposed to be complex. You're supposed to pay a lot of attention when you watch these movies. I mean, it's just... The fact that you're complaining about how complex the plot is and how dark it is for a Disney movie, I mean, that's like complaining that there's too much violence in Saw. I mean, the movie is what it is, and you either like it or you don't. But if you don't like it, you don't go out saying the movie's just too much for this, and the movie's trying to be this, the movie's trying to be that. The movie Pirates of the Caribbean is a dark, complex trilogy, and it should stand on its own merit for that. Just because it's Disney, it doesn't mean it's a complete fuck. That they hung that little boy in the beginning. I can name like a dozen other movies that have killed children. That same year this movie came out saw us the release of Alien vs. Predator 2, where a chest burster ripped out of the chest of a little boy, probably around the same age as this kid. And the fact that everyone freaked out when they saw that scene in the theater, I personally, when I saw this movie in theaters, I walked in after that scene, so that probably helps my enjoyment of it. But everyone freaked out at that, and no one said a word when they killed children and pregnant women in Alien vs. Predator 2. That is hypocrisy at its finest. And I think, not that I'm for slaughtering children, I just say, like, they were making a point of it in Pirates of the Caribbean 3. Beckett was hanging all these people. He was just hanging whoever he could just to get them to sing a song. There's a point to this scene, FB. I disagree with you. There is a point to that first scene. The pirates start singing the song, which summons the Brethren Court. And they're trying to summon Beckett's trying to get them to summon the Brethren Court so we can get all the pirates in one place and kill them all. Which is why, when one of his men tells him to start and sing, he says, "Finally." That's because all these killings have all been for just to get them to sing that stinking song. Just so we can summon the Brethren Court. It's all part of his plan. So, and it's not just to show that these are bad guys. We can deduce that for ourselves. It's showing that this is all part of Beckett's evil plan to kill all the pirates. And it takes repeat viewings to get. I think these are movies that takes repeat viewings to get. Kind of like Ang Lee's Hulk. But don't flat out say the movie is a failure just because the plot's complex or they kill a bunch of people. Because I can name a dozen some of the best movies ever made out of a complex plot. Take Inception, for example. That's like number 4 in the top 250. And that had a very complicated plot. And it's just, you should judge a movie for what it is, not because of the company who made it or what's in it. You should judge a movie whether it's a good movie or a bad movie or whether it does its job correctly. And this movie did a good job concluding its trilogy. And I am prepared to get on my knees and beg that On Stranger Tides will not happen. Because they finished it all. They tied up every loose end. They killed off half the cast. So how can there be another one? That's why I hate movies like Terminator Salvation and X-Men Origins, neither of which I saw, because it's all resolved. There's nothing more to do. So please do not make that movie. In FB, I don't expect an apology. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but maybe in the future, just don't judge a movie for what it is, not whether it's Disney or anything. Frenzy227 is out.